Hey guys, welcome back for another chapter review of One Piece, chapter 1143. We had a 2 week break, no break next week, thankfully, and we continue the story where it left off. So, before I begin with the chapter, please let me know if there's anything with audio to fix, lighting. I just moved a little bit of my stuff into a different room to record, and we'll see how it goes. Let me know if I can improve on something, and let's get the review started. So, we continue where Saul left off, following the kids to try and get them to wake up. As we find out, we get the God's Knight's powers this chapter, some of the gods, no, all the rest of the God's Knight's powers this chapter, and we get some Loki information, and we will delve into that when we get to it in the chapter. So, so much going on, man. I'm so excited to continue the story and, develop where we are going with Loki and the God's Knights and how they're going to separate. So there are things that are developing about Loki. Anyway, Summer's fruit here, as we find out shortly, is the thorn fruit, Briar Man. So it's, as people estimated, he had, like, it was really obvious and it was weird. Not really, like, but we saw his sword, the shield. When you hold the sword, there's a protector. It is a made of thorns, which is really counter almost. No, it works actually. It's a shield, so it protects and it's built off thorns. So maybe he makes it himself with his own powers. People estimated he looks like he has some thorn ability. He has a rose on him. There's something about him. He has a thorn fruit, and it's really weird how it works in this sense, even though it is a oh my god, it's not a Zoan and it's a Paramecia, but it has other features. I guess most Paramecias have features, multiple features to them, right? And he envelops the children in thorns, and the more somebody wants to save them, take the thorns off, or grab their, like, whoever they love, the more they get hurt. And I don't know if it directly inflicts more damage the more you love the person, or you're just desperately trying to save them, that you are hurting yourself more to save them. So it is a real sadistic way to use this fruit, or how it's being used, or maybe this is a feature of the fruit. It's a really sadistic, really weird, and is really befitting of a celestial dragon. They don't care for life at all, and we will find out in a little bit with the kids' lives. They don't care. Celestial dragons are honestly to the core just rotten, and it's being shown by Oda multiple times. And let me just make sure. Okay, we're recording. Hopefully nothing's messed up because I moved everything. Anyway, yeah. So Saul gets hurt. Robin said, the teacher did warn, don't touch them because something's wrong with it. And I don't even think they can see the thorns because it looks like they're invisible. He says something stabbed me, and I can't get the children to wake up. And we'll see that is killing them's fruit. I think I'm saying that wrong. So when we get to the panel, I'll read his name properly. And then we get an exposition, not exposition, but we get a showing of the Elbaf snails. And it's the size, the snail is huge, obviously, Elbaf, and it's the size of Nami. And it's a speaker snail. I don't think it really fits the transponder snail category because it doesn't relay messages back, at least from what I can tell. But you see, Angie is talking into a snail, which is the size of her hand, right? She's huge. She's a giant. And it's relaying to the other people, and it makes sense that it's awesome that Oda shows every snail is different in most islands if they haven't been interrupted or interchanged by the world government per se. Or because Wano has a snail population that's tiny and it's a one-way receiver, I think. And here we have a giant transponder snail for the giants in Elbaf. And we also see that since fire and lightning is a weakness and they're going to go respond to a fight, we have the fire rescue going with their little alarms and everything, going to stop the fire. Because obviously, if a fire breaks out, oh my god, this little cat, 1 second, I see her, I see her just sat down next to me, little kitty. Just wanted to show her real quick. We adopted another little cat. I maybe show them later off if I can get some editing done. Anyway, they're going to stop the fire, and they are on the way, and they're monstrous, they're huge. So this is a giant ship, and this giant skeleton, which is one of the kids' nightmares, shows up huge and smacks it out of the air. So this brings up a point that this person's power, like killing them's, right, killing them's, can make a monster that is menacingly enough large. It's huge, first of all, it's humongous, menacing enough to damage these giants that probably belong to a warrior class, right? They're old enough to be warrior class before Harold's time, and they pushed them down from the sky, even though I would assume, yeah, sure, the sky is one of the weaknesses, but still big enough to threaten these giants, these people. Everybody is freaking out because of what they saw in Summers, and the celestial dragons are just laughing at what's going on. Oh, did you see the giant's face when they tried to rescue the kids? Did you see them smack the fire rescue from the sky? And they're having a blast. Summers having a blast, and we get an exposition of Summers' fruit being the thorn fruit, right? They're talking about what is it? Right. So he explains. Summers explains his abilities with the fruit, and then he's asking, killing them. Oh, is that the fruit? Oh well, no. First, we're having them talk about what's the next steps of the plan, and they're taking them through the central path. Through Because being in the central path is like to get the most attention, to get them to bring attention to them. They actually want to be vulnerable. And while they're eating this celestial dragon meal, like in the middle of war and all that, they have this fancy feast, and killing, let me see his name, Saint Killing Them, no, I was pronouncing it right, says this needs a little bit of salt, don't you think? And then Summers, when somebody tells you something, salt, you think of a little salt shaker, right? And he, of course, what's it called? He thinks of salt, and it pops into his head. And Killing Them is throwing a ray of like, you can see the circle rays being shot at Summers and puts him to sleep. And I'm assuming this is how they got the whole meal. And he physically can grab into Summers' dream and grab the salt and put salt on the steak, and he wakes him up. So first of all, that's an insane manifestation. He is able to manifest the nightmares, which are terrorizing creatures that are stronger than these giants. As we can almost see, they can bring up a fight versus Saul and the giants, warrior class giants, although some of them might be weaker, like the serpent that we saw. Maybe it depends on the gravity of how much they fear or they think about this item. So and then Summers is asking, oh, is that the power you use to get the nightmares out of the children? And he says yes. So I don't know, this interaction feels like they haven't worked a lot together. They haven't really even met much of each other, which is a little interesting. It's a little weird because there's 10 holy knights. I assume they haven't all actually been maybe they've been in a room together, like, hey, these are my comrades, but they haven't been sent out together into missions, because he's asking about them like they haven't actually interacted that much, or maybe they haven't seen each other's devil fruits as much. Summers is explaining his fruit. Gunko hasn't really talked a lot. Gunko's been really quiet. But Gunko is also not a official celestial dragon. They've been appointed into a holy knight position, whereas Summers and Killing Them are. And Killing Them, we see the devil fruit is called the mythical dragon fruit model Kidding. We're gonna say Kidding because they always write the L and R back like interchangeably, but it's Kidding. It's an electrical dragon being in folklore, killing. But for some reason, they're saying it's a dream materialization man. And I've never heard of the Kidding being a dream materialization, but they also brought an electrical dragon into Elbaf, which is, celestial dragons. It's smart, very smart. I feel like Kidding would have electrical properties. Not sure why it's grabbing dream properties. I that's never occurred to me. Like, that's never really ran in my head, I don't ever see that. Anyway, maybe there's a folklore about it or something. But they're eating the food, and something that throws me off because I know about nutrition and food and calories. They're saying, does this food have calories? Or like, yeah, does it have calories? And it's like, it's dream food. Of course, it doesn't have calories. So I'm like, wait a minute. If it has no calories, it has no energy. And it just completely took me out. Like, oh, well, obviously it's devil fruit powers, and maybe it carries nutrition to your body, but it's like calorie free. It doesn't. Maybe it does. It can't just, because if it just deletes inside your stomach, it doesn't. You're still hungry after 10 minutes, right? Anyway, that threw me off because I know a lot about calories and working out, so that just took me out. But I'm like, wait a minute, it's a devil fruit. It probably does carry some energy, nutrition. They could probably live off this devil fruit power if it really came down to it in war or something like that. If there's no food, you can probably manifest and keep people fed with this power. That's how strong this power can potentially be. But that also brings into question for killing them. How are you in your hybrid form all the time? Is this your dragon form? Is this your monster form? Your animal form, my bad. Your animal form, is this your hybrid form? And obviously you're not in human form anymore. So what is it? Like, is this, I feel like this is their hybrid form. They're just a smaller hybrid dragon, because if they're in a creature form, they would be more dragon-like Kaido was. But how big is Kirin considered? It's a dragon. Is it it's not. In my opinion, it's never been thought of that Kirin is a very large dragon, but it does become a flying being. So I don't know why. I don't know. This devil fruit threw me off for a loop. But Gunko is mentioning here that Straw Hat Luffy is on. This is the first time it's referenced that Emperor Straw Hat Luffy is on the island of Elbaf as well. So they might be a problem. And that's the first time they were mentioned, and they never really referenced it as being a problem. And but that's interesting. And Gunko, I wonder how Gunko feels. I want to know Gunko's backstory, because they're not an official God's Knight or a Celestial. They're talking like in the next panels. They're talking about, oh, the kids are walking right into the fire. What are we gonna do? I can't. And then it's like, I can't do anything about it. If they die, they die. We just get the next batch. And I'm like, wait a minute. The whole reason for coming here was to get the kids. If the kids are gonna be killed, there's nothing to bargain with. What's the point? That just throws the whole plan. But I don't know if Gunko thinks like that. Aren't you like a normal person? Don't you at least give life to some decency to life? Or you fallen for the psyop that the celestial dragons are the ultimate being, and whatever they say goes? I don't know what the psyop is. I want to know what they're thinking, like what Gunko's backstory is and where they came from, because celestial dragons have been raised to be the way they are. But Gunko, I'm not sure. Anyway, we cut into the most hype part, in my opinion, the hype part of the chapter, and I've been talking so much. I've been so excited for the story, and I feel like I'm dragging it out. 13 minutes right now. Sorry, guys, but let me know if I should try and cut these shorter. So we have Loki saying, I'm holding Ragnir. None of you can lift Ragnir. I'm so excited to keep seeing what's going to happen, and by the end of the chapter, it's probably going to be slower, but he's bluffing, and that's the best part. None of you can stop me. None of you are strong enough to stop me. I'm holding Ragnir, and it throws out a lightning and electricity. And he is telling them that I'm going to hurt more people if you don't let me go. And Hydruden immediately folds like a lawn chair, man. He's like, okay, wait, we're listening. Please stop. Don't hurt anybody. And Zoro's like, yeah, hold up. What are you talking about? Letting him go? Don't fall for it. Like, relax. He's literally on death's door. He was just bleeding like a bunch, and we were gonna save him. So just relax. And I wonder how his abilities work, because we get an interesting set of information later. So Loki grins. But Zoro says, no, 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 just chill. Luffy's just like, I gotta put you down, man. I said if you did anything funny, I'm gonna have to hurt you. And he starts charging up an attack. And Hydruden's like, whoa, hold up. He's got lightning. Watch out for the hammer. So we don't know if the hammer has eaten a devil fruit that is lightning based. If it's, well, Loki's power, of course, he has a sea stone. So there's no, we don't know what his power is going to be, but it looks like Ragnir, the hammer, has some properties to it, and we don't know if it's a devil fruit or it has been imbued with properties. But he's saying, Hydruden is saying he'll zap you. And first of all, I'm surprised that Luffy hasn't said anything about I'm immune to electricity or don't worry about electricity with me. And like nothing about him being made out of rubber is being presented here, which is throwing me off. But Zoro, of course, saying, are you gonna let him go off easy after what he did? And Luffy's charging and he says, I'm gonna have to hurt you. He charges up an arm balloon. And Loki, once he sees that Luffy's gonna start attacking, he's like, I lost. And I'm like, what do you mean you lost? You could at least try and do something. I wanted to see more of Loki, but I don't think he ever had the intent of actually hurting anybody. He just wants to use the image that people have propelled of him, that he is a monster. And I think he plays into that role that they have manifested into him. And we'll cut into that in a little bit, but he charges up an arm balloon, and I've never really heard or rarely ever seen. I mean, I've seen him charge up his fist like a balloon, and it leads into something else. But he just like kind of just bloats up his arm, and he like taps onto Loki, and Loki just falls over face first, like he was using everything he had to hold himself up, and he just plops onto the ground. I thought that was so funny. And of course, Luffy's like, I can't let him die. Just Hydruden, please. This is my request. And remember, he's the leader of the fleet, right? I need you to save Loki. I can't just watch him die. We have Road doing an inner monologue of, well, he was, before any crime, whatever happened after his crimes, and he's bleeding a lot. And I wonder, and then inside his head, he's like, I wonder if that was, we're implying the other Shanks that hurt him. So we have Gerd tending to Loki, saying for him to do a full recovery, it's gonna take months. So remember that statement. So this is not a red herring. Red herring means it's diverting your attention from something else, right? But so this is a piece of information that we are going to measure on, right? And I guess we'll cut to that in a second. It's gonna be used for something. We don't know what, but we'll guess. We'll guess for it. We have Hydruden getting a flashback, and we see why it's really weird because we saw a portrait of his dad, Harold, right, King Harold, and he's silhouetted out. Why can't we see King Harold? We saw the portrait of him, and this is the time when he still has his horns. Actually, and that reminds me that Loki has horns. His helmet looked like it was a part of the horns. Like in the game right now, Marvel Rivals, he's wearing a helmet that gives him the horns. But here, Loki's horns are real. And it's just like his father who has the horns. And in the flashback, we see this is before he has ripped the horns out. And he's telling his kids to be good to each other. I want you both to, I want you to support Elbaf. So both of them are supposed to support Elbaf. And we get this dialogue from Loki saying, why are we talking about this? My older brother is smaller and weaker than me. How are you telling me to rule with him? And we have Loki being a bad kid to his older brother, and he's bigger than his older brother because of course he's got more of that ancient giant blood in him, and he's obviously in the future now we see he's much bigger than Hydruden, 2.5 times as I'm estimating. But he's saying his mom he's a bastard, his mom had dirty blood, and I'm just like, yo, who's telling you this? It's just another giant from a different island. But I want to know more about that. And Hydruden is holding up the axe like, I just want to talk to this guy. I can't forgive him. He's just charging at Loki, ready to like kill him and saying, you've killed our father, you talked bad about my mother. And Loki's just like, give it a rest, just do it already or something, I don't care. Just stop whining with this drama. And he says, don't tell me that you really believe them, what they say about me, that I killed our father in cold blood. And then, of course, most people are like, that was the estimate. That was, we're thinking, but we can't. Loki's a trickster. I can't believe what he's saying until it is proven, right? Because he is a trickster. He would lie to get out of a situation, as we just saw. But he said, he's basically implying that I didn't kill him, in cold blood. So maybe he did kill him, but not in cold blood. So we need to know what happened. And we might get a flashback of what happened here. We might get a story of Loki of what happened, and he's going to share what he did. Maybe he caught the killer in the act and they blamed him. Like, that's my estimate, is he was actually caught in the room at the same time with the killer, and the killer disappeared and they saw only Loki inside the room because the other people escaped, right? Or he saw that his father was doing something bad and tarnishing the name of Elbaf, and he had to kill him because he had no other choice. That was what was presented to him at the time, because they were going to kill him. They were going to kill Loki in turn. Anyway, I don't know what it is. And then Ja Rule has a knife going through his head, a sword going through his head. Maybe he was also part of defending with Loki. He says that we can't let this stand. They're weakening our people. That's why you want him to be nice or something. And he fought Harold and he got stabbed in the head and they need to remove it so he remembers. Or maybe, I don't know, there's so much going on. There's so much possibilities. But Gerd said it's going to take 6 months, or not 6 months, my bad, months for him to heal. So this implies a field of measurement, right? Either he's going to insta-heal off somebody healing him. He's going to insta-heal with his own devil fruit, because remember, Marco's phoenix fruit insta-heals. So maybe something like that. Or he's going to fight and he's just going to be really, really weak compared to what he should be if he was fully healed. There's so many measurements that can be done here. Or he's weak and he gets killed and gets his devil fruit stolen by Blackbeard. Or he's fighting and he gets killed. Like, something's going to happen. Like, there's 4 or 5 possibilities of why they're determining that Loki is weaker here. So I'm interested. I want to know. I want to know what else happens. But that is the end of the chapter there. I can't wait. No break next week, so I'm excited. Keep getting to read the One Piece and see what happens. I hope we go into a flashback or we get more info. But Oda is so set on cutting the story in half with the Holy Knights and the whatever's happening with Loki, and I want to go more into the Loki stuff, but the kids are gonna walk into the fire. They need to be rescued, obviously, and we have Loki being healed in the moment. So I don't know how they're gonna transport him. Are they gonna keep him there? I'm not sure, and it's really up in the air what's gonna happen next. But let me think. For the next chapter, my estimates are gonna be, we cut into Loki's backstory. Loki's going to talk about what about what happened in a flashback. We get information about his hammer. What is the hammer? It has lightning properties. Since its inception, we don't know why, but it's always had lightning properties, maybe something like that. And I'm hoping for a flashback. And because the fire and the stuff with Loki are happening at the same time, they kind of have to both be dealt with at the same time. So I think that's it for me, guys. I don't want to drag out the video too long. Please let me know if I should make it a little shorter. I cut this one. I think this is one of my longest form videos, instead of cutting it to just over 10 minutes to 15 max. But I enjoyed talking to the camera, giving my thoughts. And I think I'm looking at the screen more than I should be looking at the camera. But if there's anything I should improve, guys, please let me know. Leave a comment. The lights, the microphone. Let me know what I can improve on, and I would appreciate it greatly. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.